And here we go. So, hello, my name's Louise Taylor, and this is Children of the Revolution, and I think this is episode 8, and this is
Joanne, Callan, and thank you so much. I'm so excited about the conversation today.
Yes. No, thank you so much. So, Joanne, do you think that we need a revolution?
Absolutely. Well, I like my definition of revolution is re-evolution.
Oh.
So I think we need change. And I think, our evolution, the evolution of humankind, if that's what we want to put on it, has been about our physical evolution over the last so many years. And obviously we can't separate physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, energetic and all the rest of it. But I think now we have a generation that probably have been working their way in for a couple of years now, like probably from like the 60s, 70s, that sort of space. And now we're starting to see that really our evolution is about our emotional and spiritual development. So I think that's the revolution that we need, is to really allow ourselves to connect with that and to take, the world has changed so much in the last 50 years. Or certainly the Western world has changed so much, which in turn obviously impacts on other parts of the world as well. And I think we need now to take all that knowledge and all that information, which sometimes can be overload, because sometimes it's about taking the information but coming back to self.
Yes.
So kind of all the information there and all the things telling you do this, and that's how you do it. And information's great. I love information. I love science. I love research. I particularly love when science and research backs up intuition and knowledge and just nature and how that all flows. So I think we need it, but I think we're getting it, I think we're having it, but I think we've got to be very aware how we allow this to unfold.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you were saying emotional and spiritual. Because do you think it's been neglected, or do you think it's just time now that we address this?
I guess some days I flipped between the other. One, that it's been neglected, or two, it's just when the time is right, it happens.
Yes.
So I don't know that we have to look at we done it right or we done it wrong. I think, historically we were doing what we needed to do, and now it's our opportunity to do it differently.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
I'm very much, well, I try to be as best I can, a kind of solution focused person, and that things were how they were because that's what was needed at that particular time. So I think if we start going back blaming or looking or thinking, oh, that was wrong or that was wrong, most of those people weren't doing things that they thought were wrong. They were doing what they believed was right.
Yes. The best they could.
Yeah, I think that's all any of us can do. One of the affirmations that I use all the time, and I'm a big fan of affirmations, is, and I try and work with children and teach them to use the affirmation, I am the best me I can be. And with that, one of the reasons I love that so much is because with that comes, for me, two sides. So there's the acceptance of self. I am the best that I can be in any given moment. But there's also the challenge to keep growing, keep developing, keep improving, keep, I am the best me I can be. Well, then you've got to be the best you that you can be. And part of that is growing and developing and changing and challenging yourself and stepping outside your comfort zones and doing all those different bits and pieces that make us grow and improve and develop. And from a place of, there's just loads of imperfect people trying to do their best. And sometimes even the word trying, I try and take that out of my vocabulary as well, because I think, we can try to do our best, or we can do our best and accept that what we did in a moment of time, and that's historically as well, and we get it wrong. That's part of that's part of being human. Is that we get it wrong. But now that we're starting to see how maybe things were done wrong in the past, now is our huge opportunity not to keep talking about the problems, not to keep saying, well, this was done wrong and that was done wrong and the patriarchy done this and this and this, but to say, okay, it was wrong, but how do we do it differently? How do we change those patterns? How do we move forward to create the society that we want to create? And I guess most importantly, how do we support children to do that? And that for me is the revolution that we need.
It's children.
It's children, and it's supporting children to be the leaders of the next generation. And and what a big, I often think things need, whether we're talking about the world stuff or our own personal stuff, even physical health. One of the things I talk about is, if we don't listen to the body whispering, it will scream.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that I think is happening in the world now is stuff coming to the surface because it's there where we do something about it.
Yes.
It's when you get a blister on your foot that you might change your shoes.
Yeah.
It's when we know what we don't want, then we get an idea of what we do want.
Yes.
And we've got two choices now. There's so much happening in the world that we can all say we don't want. Mm-hmm. And this is wrong and this is how it should be and da 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 da. But let's use that to really get clear about what we do want. Mm-hmm. So if we don't want leaders like we have, what type of leaders do we want?
Yes.
What type of leaders do we want our children to be?
Yeah.
And how are we going to support them to do that? I absolutely don't have all the answers for that.
No, but
and we've talked some of them out. But it's when we start looking at that, and for me the first step in that is taking responsibility for self. You can't change, you may never change the world, but you can change the world one person at a time, and that begins with you. So it's too big a task to try and change what's happening on a global level. But if we each take responsibility for ourselves and in the space of children, the children that are in our space, and not so much take responsibility for children, because I think again they have to be given the right to take responsibility for themselves in a sense, but how do we guide them, how do we support them, how do we work through all of that? So.
Yeah, and this is it, like I think we were talking about, there's a few things you said, but one of the quotes that came to mind was, once I was smart and I wanted to change the world, now I'm wise and I know I'm going, and now I change myself. It all starts with you, and I think it starts with us accepting ourselves.
Absolutely, yeah. And that is, that's a statement that we can make, and in the world that we work in, people talk about that all the time. You have to love and accept yourself, and until you love yourself, you can't love anybody else, and all of those things. And that is huge work.
Huge.
That is that's a lifetime journey.
Yes.
So for me, that accepting ourselves is a journey rather than a destination. Mm-hmm. But when we become aware of how important it is to be, maybe one of the ways that I would put it sometimes is, how can we be more gentle with ourselves?
Yes.
Because when we're more gentle with ourselves, then we're more gentle with other people. Mm-hmm. And what can we do? What can we have in our toolbox that allows us to be more gentle with ourselves? How can we examine our beliefs that go, is this true or is this just a belief? Mm-hmm. And more often than not, we find it's just a belief that doesn't actually have any truth. We might choose to believe it, but that becomes a choice.
Yes.
So yeah, absolutely. I think, or the other one as you were talking there that came to mind was Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror.
Yes.
And that the words of that are very, very poignant in that. So, or can't think of the singer, but you've got to search for the hero inside yourself.
Yes. But sure, a lot of people say everything that you see in others is in you.
Yeah.
So everything outside of yourself is a reflection of what's going on
for you. So what you pick up on somebody else, you'll only notice what somebody else is wearing if you're conscious about what you're wearing yourself.
Yeah.
So if you pass comment on what somebody else is wearing, that's probably because you feel quite critical of what you wear.
Yeah.
And you can absolutely only do it.
It wouldn't occur to me. I'm like, when people are like, how do I look? I'm like, how do you feel?
Yeah. That's it. And that's what it's back to the feeling, isn't it? Because we strip past that, and whenever we look at, I think the other one sometimes in a lot of this work is about that idea that you can only love others and once you love and accept yourself. Thank God I don't think that's true. I don't. Because I needed people to love me when I least loved myself.
Oh yes.
When that that's, I think that sometimes gets used as a bit of a, I think it's misunderstood in a sense. It's so important to love yourself. Don't that's the starting point. But to use that, sometimes I think that phrase gets used as maybe a reason for not being fully there yet.
Yes.
Do you know? And it's like absolutely no. Let others in to love you.
Yeah.
Until you're able to love yourself, because that's a huge part of the journey as well.
Well, the love of others can help you love yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I think one of the greatest, and you said this, and I completely agree, is my children have been, my greatest teachers, and I think it was my eldest child. Love was the first who I felt unconditional love and acceptance from.
Yeah.
But and that really helped me.
Yeah. To then learn.
Yes.
You needed to almost mirror that back in a sense that needed to be part of the journey.
And then because you just and that's it. That I'm glad you said that, because I don't think you can. I was always full of love, but I didn't always love myself.
Yeah.
You're usually the last port of call.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody else gets it. And then I do, I think, then I do get that it is, I guess it's how much our in the 5 love languages, they talk about your love tank, how full that is, how you're able to then use that to love other people. And so there's always the two sides, isn't it? And there's the both elements of it. But it's so important to just love and be loved.
But there's another thing about it is, like, I think people have beliefs about what love is.
Absolutely.
And what it looks like. And I, with some clients and some people, they would think, well, they couldn't have loved me because they did this, or they weren't around, or they didn't do this. And then sometimes I'm like, well, maybe that was their way of loving you, because they didn't like themselves very much, and they took themselves out of your life. So sometimes if you try and look at things with a more compassionate angle, and that I think is spirituality, you're trying to see the best in people.
The best in people, the best in situations. And I had a conversation with a friend at one point where we were chatting about what is hope. And and how does hope and mindfulness, because hope is in a sense some, it's implied, or it's understood maybe as in most parts, that hope is about the future.
Yes.
And mindfulness is about being in the moment. And how do both of those kind of merge? And for me, they merge from a place of whatever is happening is the right thing. Now, that doesn't mean that what's happening is always easy.
No.
But that it's part of a journey, and that gives me hope.
Yes.
But it also allows me to accept the moment.
Yes.
So it gives a little bit of the two. But what you were saying there about how we journey through that, and all of that, it so fits in. It's just that space of.
Yeah, because spirituality was, so once I found it and once I started really exploring it, and then that's when hope emerged for me. Like, that was after being depressed for quite a long time and just thinking, like, you just trundle through and it's just like existing. And with spirituality, there was just so much hope, and it just made sense.
Yeah.
We are, like, it just, and everything just felt better.
Yeah.
You didn't avoid pain.
You were able to accept it.
A bit better.
Yeah.
We still have days.
No, nobody likes it. It's not, I don't think any of us like it. But I think if we can accept it as maybe as a blessing or a lesson or an opportunity for growth, and to be authentic in it.
Yes.
That, it doesn't, like, I think sometimes there's the concept that, as you become a more spiritual person, that you're suddenly positive all the time. And, that you can't be sad, and you can't be, and sometimes, the biggest person that I would kind of, I think particularly when you're looking at gratitude, gratitude is a huge part of my life, and a conscious gratitude practice has been really helpful at difficult times and things like that. So, and sometimes it's just naturally, you're just you're just grateful for life and living and stuff like that. But, when days are tough, and then you can sometimes beat yourself up about not being grateful for everything that's good, because you're focusing on the thing that's not so good in that space of time. But I think that brings with it the clarity and the opportunity, knowing that it will pass and that there's something coming through that space. Yeah,
it just I think it can give you it can help you reframe events.
Yeah.
Which even this is what I thought, even if it's all a load of rubbish, I love it because I feel good.
Exactly. I mean, I say all the time, if I get to the pearly gates or wherever we go when this piece is finished or whatever, and somebody says to me, Joanne, see all that stuff you believed down there was rubbish. Absolute nonsense, and there was no meaning in it. I'm like, well, I'm okay with that. If it makes navigating this journey easier, happier, more peaceful, more content, then I'm kind of happy to believe it. I'm also happy for somebody to change that belief. That, you know, we could be having this conversation this time next year, and I say, you know, Louise, all that stuff we talked about last year, not there anymore. Totally don't believe it. But I think, isn't that the beauty of allowing it to evolve? And be a change in process. That it's not about having a rigid, this is how it is today, and this is how it always has to be. Because the journey is about changing and growing and developing, and with that, what you believe and what you do and what brings peace of mind today could be really different to what brings peace of mind in 12 months' time.
Well, if it's infinite, it's infinite. We don't know where we're going to be. We don't know what's happening.
We don't know what's happening. And it's
embracing that.
Embracing the unknown, and trust. You know, trusting is huge. But just because we can talk about these things definitely doesn't mean that they're easy.
No.
But the more we talk about them, the more we realise that it's part of authentic living, and that's what we're all really seeking, is acceptance and authenticity and kindness and compassion and gentleness and peace and you know, all those things that come with that.
I will make mistakes, but that's okay. I'm trying my best, and that's brilliant. But I will make mistakes,
and the acceptance of that, you know, and if we could only transfer to ourselves what we give to other people. You know, we're much more compassionate usually with other people. We might be critical and stuff as well, but we're usually much more forgiving of the small stuff. I mean, big forgiveness is a challenge, and that's a whole conversation in itself. But those small things would tend to be less tolerant of ourselves than we ever are of other people.
Yes, and one of the things too is about lessons, though. Like lessons in, and I think one of the things that I really need to work on is flexibility. Not in some respects, but if somebody says that's what they do, or then I'm like, okay, I'm a bit literal. Very literal. Whereas I need things, so I know in my head things aren't black and white, but I suppose when something's written down, I'm like, well, you said that, so then that's what should happen. Now that's maybe one of my lessons that I'll keep coming back
until I learn it. Yeah, of course, that is not what they do. And then sometimes I think, as you know, I like to view it as the spiral, that we can think we've kind of come to a resolution with something, and we have for that level of it. But then the journey continues, and then you realise, oh, I'm back here, but this is another level. This is another level of it. So you've either continued, depending on what way you see your spiral, whether it's going that way or that way, and either way is okay. But that we come back to the same lessons with different understanding. So the understanding that we've picked up as we've moved along that part of the spiral, and it looks like you're back in the same place because the vantage point is the same, and you might be looking at the same thing, but you've picked up other knowledge. But when you're at level 4, you think that's all there is. So you think that's the floor. And then somebody goes, oh, there's a level 5, and you're like, oh, I thought I'd done this. I thought I processed that, you know. And we talk all the time about peeling back the layers of an onion, that you know, or scratching and like sometimes I use the analogy of like false floors. You know, you think it's done, and then suddenly you realise, no, that wasn't the floor at all. There's another one. And you go a little bit deeper with that, but.
So say right, there's a tendency with some people. No, and I've definitely been like, why me? What? How
do we shift that?
How do we shift that? Why me? It always happens. I never get a break.
Somebody said to me once, I don't know if this is even this bit off the cuff, so I don't know where this is going, but somebody said to me once, and I think it really helped me, why not you?
Oh right, yeah.
And that takes you to a different space, because that takes you to a solution.
Why not you?
Why not you? And in a sense, that comes to the space of, well, everybody has everything. Everybody has something. And I'm not negative in that space, but I do believe everybody has their challenges, and most of us are here for a journey to learn something, what it's all about, why it all exists. It's infinite, who knows.
Yes.
But when we go maybe into that space a little bit, well, why not me, then we are possibly in a place to put stuff in context a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, why not? Because Mary down the road has this going on, and Jimmy up the road has that going on, and not because they have things going on does that mean that we have to things going on. But I think maybe that little bit, that kind of, why not me? And then the other bit is, I think again it comes, whether we see ourselves as a victim. I love language, and I think our words are really, really important to us. They're hugely important. Again, I love quotes and different things, but one of the ones that I really struck a chord with me was, words are magic, that's why we call it spelling.
Yeah.
And why else do we call it spelling? I mean, we're talking about education and different things. Where did spelling come from?
Yeah.
What does it mean? And other than that, your words, I love Florence Scovel's book, Your Word is Your Wand, and The Game of Life and How to Play It. And to think that those books were written in the early 1900s by a woman in America, I just think that is huge testimony in itself.
Yes.
So, but your word is your wand, and how important words are. So I think we get that choice of whether we see ourselves as a victim or whether we use it as a place of growth. One of my examples of it is my car broken into a couple of years ago, and the next day the police were involved in different things, but the next day I get this text message from victim support, which is I'm sure does amazing work. Thankfully I've never needed to engage in their services, but I know that they're there as a support mechanism. But the wording in the message was really interesting, because it said, we believe you've been a victim of crime. Now I hadn't, and if you needed to access our support services, contact us on this number or whatever. Now I had just seen that my car had been broken into. I didn't see myself as a victim. And yet I could have went, on a different day, in a different mood, with different stuff going on. That could have been the why me.
Yeah.
And it was like it was handed to me on a plate to take the victim thing.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like a victim. That's not to say that somebody else that has a car broken into won't, and that's it's all different. But I think it's how do we look at the why me? I think if we do our best, and it's there's days that's easier than others, but if we kind of do our best to say, well, what part of this, I can't control what's happening, but I can control how I react to what's happening. And then how can I, the analogy of the donkey that's in the hole and the farmer's throwing soil in to try and kill the donkey, but the donkey uses it to step on top of and get his way out. And it's that, isn't it?
That's like alchemy, I think of. Because I often think that a lot of people are being disempowered, and they're actually not really being able to meet their full potential by living in a space of victimhood. And a lot of people feeling sorry for them might be well-meaning, but it's actually not.
Sometimes it can be enabling.
Yes.
Isn't it? It's that and does that come in with where we talk about like tough love?
But see, I would be compassionate, very compassionate, but also very empowering. So it'd be like that sign. So I have somebody telling me like that what happened, and I'm like, that sounds absolutely horrendous, and I'm incredibly sorry that you went through this, but you're going up. This is let's use the soil. So what is it that you want from this life? What is it? And then the hope, trying to get the hope back. Also, that was one of the things in a lot of the work I did, seeing people, like, you look at the greats, they have often had incredibly tragic lives, like great people who've lived amazing lives. They're not like everything was great. They had a fantastic relationship with their father and their mother, and everybody got on. And
they've usually overcome adversity, and huge adversity. Yeah, absolutely.
And they have. That's where their greatest strength has come from.
But I think even if you look at that on a not a lesser level, but maybe on a smaller scale, more tangible, more reachable for most of us, I think a lot of the time people look at people that are involved maybe in more not spiritual life, but you know, like would be reading personal development books and doing all of that, or maybe even us, like, that do the work with other people. And they kind of, most of us find our way here because we've used it as tools to overcome challenges in our lives of varying degrees, and everybody's are different, and what's challenge for me might not cost you a thought, and so I don't think we can rate, oh well, your life was really difficult and mine was really easy, because it's a bit like women's birth experience. It's how you felt about it. It doesn't matter what it looked like when somebody writes it down on paper, and I mean, even we know that can change day to day, because you know, somebody can say something to me today and it doesn't cost me a thought. Somebody can say something to me tomorrow, I'm still thinking about it next week. It's how we feel in that moment rather than what happens to us. So but most people that I know that do similar work to what I do, and what you do, and different things like that, haven't had that smooth sailing. In fact, the reality is that most people haven't had. There's nobody I know that has had what I would call a smooth sailing life. So we have to, I guess, from that space, accept that challenge and adversity is part of life. And particularly, I think that's really important when it comes to children and how we support and empower them, because a lot of what's happening at the moment is that parents are trying to protect children in the best possible way, from the right place, but even from, you know, falling off the wall by not allowing them to climb the wall, or trying, you know, to do it in that place that makes it that you're thinking, okay, where are we empowering them and where are we disempowering them just by not allowing them to have these experiences? And how are we supporting them to overcome their challenges, and rather than avoiding challenges?
And mixed messages. You can't do this, you can't. It's like it seems a bit more of a mindset. It does seem like they've got a bit more stress going on.
I think so, but you know, is it? How do we? You know, we all want the world to be a better place for our children, and we don't. Of course, nobody wants anybody to go through pain or to have to deal with difficult circumstances. But yet we all know that is part of the human journey. And that's part of how we evolve. And how we grow and how we develop is by how we deal with adversity.
Well, resilience is a new buzzword, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's crucially important. But you know, the same, like, you don't make a good sailor by sailing smooth seas. And
by never leaving the harbour.
You know,
you need to get out.
You need to get out onto the rough water and kind of test your muscles. So, and it's how do we, you know, part of my thing at the moment is how do we support children to do that in the best possible way, but by also being more compassionate, more understanding, you know, and I think more important is how do we, I think we support the children by empowering and supporting the adults around them.
I think for me, with my children, I know this is gonna maybe sound, the best thing, I show them that I'm imperfect. I say sorry a lot, and also I love my life. I don't think life is a struggle. I have a lot of fun, and I make mistakes. So my children, you know, they
permission to do that, isn't it? But isn't that so important that they can see it? Because again, we know it's not, you know, children learn what they live. It's not what we tell them, it's what we show them. It's not, you know, I had a young girl in a class very recently, and I was talking to primary 7 people, and I was talking to her about I was talking to the group about self-confidence, self-esteem, accepting yourself, stuff we're kind of teasing out here now, and it was really interesting. She said to me, is that why you don't wear makeup? And I never thought about why I don't wear makeup. I don't wear a whole lot of it, or a little bit of it, but you know, most days I wouldn't have makeup on, and I just thought, wow, that's what she was taken from that. So no amount of me telling her that, now that's not to say absolutely that somebody that wears makeup isn't coming from a confidence place, but that's what she had absorbed from that statement, whether it was right or not. But she was able to see in me that I was happy enough to accept myself at literal face value, that I didn't need makeup. So it became really important then, and I suppose you can analyse everything then, don't you, that you do, and you think, oh, should I wear makeup today, should I not wear makeup today, what are people saying in doing that? I thought it was really interesting, and I remember listening to Father Brian Darcy actually at one point, and he in an interview, and he talked about things at home got absorbed, not taught. And I think that is, that is the key. So by you living how you live, then your children kind of, it doesn't matter how often you tell them to be confident in their own skin and do all of that, and you can tell them it, but unless you're working on doing it. And I don't think we're all there at all. Like, I think we're all work in progress. And we're, you might get it right today and maybe not tomorrow. And that doesn't, I don't think that means that we can't still wish for more for our children than what we have for ourselves, or for the next generation than what we have ourselves. I think it's always about doing it better. How do we do it different? How do we support the change? We're so aware of the problems, but we can keep talking about problems, or we can seek solutions.
But I think we all have choices, which is incredible, which a lot of generations before did not have, and our children are going to have even more choices, and that's, I hope my children know that they never have to accept a relationship that is not respectful. Now you can't, I don't think, relationships are work, but respect and kindness and friendship is really important in any relationship. They don't have to accept abuse. They never have to accept abuse. That's one message I hope that I get in the schools. I'm very, very loud about that message. Abuse is never okay. But I hope my children know that they have choices and that their life can be incredible. Now there will be hardship.
There'll be difficult moments. Because it's part of it. But
if a job is making them feel sick and they hate it, they can leave. But I don't think many people buy into that.
No, and I think it's changing. Again, I think we have to look at the fact that we're parented by, we are parented by how our parents were parented, and all of that story that goes back. So even for women now, 50 years ago, you were glad, you were lucky to have a job. Because a lot of them weren't allowed to work. So it wasn't, but now we're in a place of, well, no, I don't just need to accept being allowed to have a job. I can accept to have the job that I want, and the choice that I want, and create work that I want, and find that space. So I think that's part of, again, and we can criticise previous generations, but that was a huge leap for them. In the same way as now it's a huge leap for us to see choice. So it was, and different cultures, different backgrounds, the opportunities that were available. It was kind of like, well, be grateful you've got one. Be grateful you've got any job. Rather than, and you want stability, and you need a job that's going to give you that, because people had come out of a really chaotic time where stability was actually really important. But it's that change in space, isn't it, that we're now living in, certainly for the most part, in a completely different world,
where our beliefs will actually affect our lives more than
anything else.
Isn't that? That's mad. That is crazy.
It's crazy.
I'm just aware.
It's our beliefs, and most of our beliefs aren't true.
Well, yes. They're made up.
They're all made up. Totally. So examine our beliefs. Check in with them. Have a look at them and go, is that really true?
And check in with ourselves. We can make mistakes and it's okay, and then we can get every day is a new start.
Absolutely.
Every day is a fresh
new
start.
Opportunity. And change something and just see. Become one of my things that I talk with clients is become really comfortable with change. And you build your change muscle by putting your knives and forks and spoons in your drawer differently than what you do normally. So if they go in a certain place, well, maybe tomorrow put them in a different place. And do little things that get you comfortable with change. If you always drive from A to B via road C, well then find road D that might take you to B as well, and just get comfortable with small change to allow yourself to, because again, the quote, if you always did what you always did we always get what we always got?
Yes.
So if you always go one way, well, you're only ever going to see what's on that road. But if you maybe challenge yourself a little bit and go a different road and just think outside the box, then that allows you to make the bigger change.
Oh, I love it. Love
Got to
it.
make small changes to build your change muscle to make big ones.
It's like the colour orange, right? I know this is, but I hated it. This is what I was quite depressed. Then I did colour therapy course. Heard it was the colour of happiness.
Yeah.
All this. So I started buying more orange.
Yeah.
Now I love it.
Yeah.
I changed the way I looked at the colour. Now I have orange purse, orange this, and it's just, and it makes your life, you know, I used to wear all black a lot because I didn't really want to be seen.
Yeah.
That was at a time where I didn't feel good, so I wore a lot of black. Still don't mind wearing like wearing, but I have more colour like this here and stuff like that. But it's like I changed the way I thought about things. We are more capable of change. Like change is the only thing we can be really sure of.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think we've become less comfortable with it as we've become more industrialised.
Oh,
so
yes.
You know, when you lived off the earth and you lived very much seasonally and all of that happened, then change was just a part of everyday life.
Yes.
But you know, now where we've got hot water at the flick of a button. And,
yes.
Strawberries in September or strawberries in December if you want them.
Yes.
You know, you don't need to wait to this. Albeit they're much nicer, but you don't need to wait till you can have strawberries all year round if you want strawberries all year round. So we're very disconnected from change, and that's where for me nature is so important. Because I think nature, it's not enough to spend time to be in nature, you know, to be outside and stuff. Because a lot of us are outside, but being in nature, connecting with nature, connecting with cycles and rhythms.
Yeah.
And for women, and this could be a whole other conversation. Yeah. For women, it's really important that we can connect with the cycles and rhythms in ourselves.
Yes.
So, and how that all goes, because once we understand those, then we can understand so many other things as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I can't see.
We're gonna go. Well,
so how that was your Children of the Revolution interview? How did you find that?
Yeah, I've loved our chat. I think we talk about loads of things and keep talking. Anybody want a whole series?
Yeah, that was awesome. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
And is there anything else you'd like to say, or your service, or you would like to just talk about?
I have lots of different stuff going on. So you know, Relaxed Kids is something I'm really passionate about. So you know, I think it's so important that that's one of the ways that I find that we can really empower children in a young children in a fun way where we normalise all of these tools that I use in my toolbox now. So relaxation, meditation, movement, stretching, breathing, creativity, imagination, all of those things in a non-competitive environment. So you know, that's huge for me. And I have some new projects coming up this year. Around supporting parents to help, you know, what I'm calling it is parenting superheroes. And I believe the next generation of superheroes are going to be kind, compassionate, you know, believing in themselves. They're going to be, you know, they're going to really bring in big changes. But we've got to support them to do that. And to do that, we've got to be empowered, and we've got to be surrounded by like-minded people as well. Because I know lots of people doing this stuff by themselves, but they rarely get together and have the conversations.
That's why like I love because I'm meeting the lights are
the lights are going on.
The lights are going on.
You know, online is fab, and obviously this will be listened through online media and stuff like that. But and it's been fantastic because I think that's been a huge source of empowerment for us. Is the access to information outside of what we typically would access. But I think now is the time for people to get into the communities, and you know, it takes a village to raise a child, and if we can get together and have those conversations and feel supported, I think a lot of that happens for parents when children are young, potentially maybe through like baby and toddler groups and, you know, breastfeeding support groups and all those different types of things that they do when babies. But then when the journey starts, those parents getting together in groups doesn't often happen.
No.
So that's what I'm hoping that Parenting Superheroes is going to be, that we get the opportunity to come together. So but there's some online stuff coming on the back of that as well, so anybody that's watching in that's not in my local area will be able to maybe access some of that too and see how that rolls.
That's awesome.
Lots of stuff going on.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you. And well done on all you're doing.